Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope you all are doing very good. In today's class, we are going to study problems and practice problems on this formula. N21 is equal to sin I divided by sin R. Actually, this is the fourth video I am uploading on refractive index. First video I did covering theory, PYQs and some problems on refractive index covering all models. After that second video I uploaded on n is equal to c by v. Only on n is equal to c by v how many models of problems can be asked and how to solve them, everything in detail I covered in the second video. And next video I did on n21 is equal to v1 by v2. All models of problems, how they can ask, how a question can be framed on this formula, I prepared and I upload as a second video on refractive index. Now on only on problems, this is a third video I am being uploading on this refractive index concept. And in today's class we are going to study how to solve problems on this formula n21 is equal to sin I divided by sin R. If you did not watch these two videos, just go to my playlist and watch them, and they are available to you now itself on the I button which is at the top right corner. So without wasting any time, let us go into today's class. N21 is equal to sin I divided by sin R. So what is N21? Refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium. What is sin I? Sin of angle of incidence happened here. What is sin R? Sin R will be sin of angle of refraction formed here. Right? Where did this formula come? How did we get this formula? Just let us have a brief introduction about the formula. From where did the formula come? The formula came from the laws of refraction. How many laws of refraction we have? We have two laws of refraction, correct? How many laws of reflection we have? We have two laws of reflection also. In the same way, we have two laws of refraction also. First law is very simple. Everybody can answer it. What is that? The incident light ray, refracted light ray and the normal lies on the same plane at a point of incidence. Correct. That is correct. What about the second law? When we come to second law, that second law of refraction is also known as Snell's law. Second law of refraction is also known as Snell's law. What it states? Generally, student states Snell's law as sin I by sin R is equal to constant, but that is not the correct statement of Snell's law. From Snell's law itself, we will get the formula sin I by sin R is equal to constant. That constant will be refractive index. But stating Snell's law is not the correct way in that way. Then what is the correct way of stating Snell's law? See, if you have any refraction happening here, for a given pair of medium, suppose you just imagine that here we have first medium and second medium, correct? Imagine that the first medium is air and the second medium is glass. Okay, for a given pair of medium and for a given wavelength, this wavelength is lambda 1. If wavelength changes, what will change? Color will change. Imagine here we are sending violet color. Okay, so first you have to fix the pair of medium and you have to fix the color or wavelength of the light which you are sending. After fixing these two, then you can say that sin I by sin R is equal to constant. So Snell's law can be stated as for a given pair of medium, and for a given wavelength, ratio of sin I by sin R is constant. Ratio of sin I and sin R is constant. How to write this one? This can be written as sin I divided by sin R is equal to constant, and that constant is nothing but the refractive index. Okay. First let us understand what happens if we change the medium, what happens if we change the wavelength. That let us understand first. Suppose you sent violet color here. Okay now. So from air to glass you sent violet color. Imagine that you did not send violet color. You sent another color. Let us take next color. Which color let us take? Let us take it as red. Air and glass. Suppose for this angle of incidence is 30 degrees. Now you are sending another color. Imagine this as point of incidence. This angle is also 30 degrees now. Okay. And now it is not violet color, it is red color. Means the lambda changed, lambda 2. Red color. Angle of incidence is again 30 degrees only. What happens now? As wavelength increases, the amount of refraction happening will be reduced. If the amount of refraction happened reduces, then the light ray will not bend that much. Before what this is the extended incident light ray. Before what happened, light ray bent this much. Now wavelength of the incident light ray increased. If the wavelength of incident light ray is increased, what happens? This light ray will not go through the same amount of refraction. If the light ray did not go through the same amount of refraction, amount of bending will be less. If amount of bending will be less, then the refracted light ray will be close to the extended incident light ray path like this. Okay na? So now what is angle of refraction here? Angle of refraction is larger here. Angle of refraction is very less here. So now if you apply sin A by sin R is equal to constant for these two, will it be applicable? It will not be applicable. So you have to fix in your mind first the statement of Snell's law is for a given pair of medium and for a given wavelength, ratio of sin I and sin R will be constant. Sorry, here I wrote sir, it is sin R. Ratio of sin I and sin R will be constant. So sin I by sin R is equal to constant. That constant is nothing but the refractive index. So now we got the formula. Sin I by sin R is equal to constant. That constant is refractive index. Sin I divided by sin R is equal to refractive index n. This refractive index, how to remember? Is it 1 with respect to 2 or 2 with respect to 1? How to remember this one? Again this confusion will come in students' mind. How to remember this one? I'll give one more shortcut to remember this formula. Imagine the refractive index of first medium is n1, refractive index of second medium is n2. Okay. Or else you take this one as n1, this one as n2, there is no problem at all. Where you have taken n1, there it is I. Where you have taken n2, there it is R. You take this one as n1, this one as I, or this one as n1, this one as R, anything is fine. Okay now. So now here it is n1, here it is I, correct? So n1 into sin I, n1 into sin I will be is equal to n2, where n2 is there which angle is formed? R angle is formed. So n2 into sin R. If you remember this equation, then you will never make a mistake. So send n2 this side, it becomes n1 divided by n2 will be is equal to sin R divided by sin I. Correct? n1 by n2 will be n12. n12 will be is equal to sin R divided by sin I. Now if we reciprocate, we will get it n21 will be is equal to sin I divided by sin R. These two are the formulas which we will be working on. n21 will be is equal to sin I divided by sin R, and n12 will be is equal to sin R divided by sin I. Okay, so this is how we will get the formula of n is equal to sin I divided by sin r, or n12 is equal to sin r divided by sin I. Now, how the questions will be formed? How the questions will be formed? There are three things here: angle I, angle r, and n12. Okay, so they may give I and r, and they'll ask you to find refractive index of first medium with respect to second medium, or second medium with respect to first medium. One way of asking question. Another way of asking question is, they'll give refractive index and sin r, they'll ask you to find the angle of incidence. The third way is, they'll give angle of incidence and refractive index, then they'll ask you to find the angle of refraction. Three ways of asking question. Okay, you need to remember this also, that when you fix what this equation is giving us, what information we can derive from this equation is, after fixing air and glass medium and also fixing the wavelength of the color, if you are varying angle of incidence, how much angle of refraction we are going to get. That is what we are going to get information from this equation. Angle of incidence 30 degrees you kept. What is the angle of refraction we can get from this equation? Angle of incidence 45 degrees you kept. Then what is the angle of refraction we can get from this equation? For the given pair of medium only, without changing the medium, without changing the wavelength, you change the angle of incidence within the range. You change the angle of incidence in between 0 and 90 degrees. Then how the angle of refraction will be? To find that only we can use this formula. Okay. Now let us do some problems on this refractive index. First problem. When light enters from air to glass, angle of incidence and refraction were 45 degrees and 30 degrees respectively. Find refractive index of glass. To solve these problems, you should be knowing the trigonometry basics. What are these trigonometric basics which you should be knowing is, I'll write here and I'll show to you. First, these values are not there in your mind. Then whatever I say, that will be no use. That's why first you should be having these values in your mind, and the inverse trigonometric function, how to remember, this also is required. Sin 0 degree, 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60 degrees, 90 degrees. Sin 0 will be 0, sin 30 will be 1 by 2, sin 45 will be 1 by root 2, sin 60 will be root 3 by 2, sin 90 will be 1. So these values you must be having in your mind. If you don't have these values in your mind, then you cannot solve problems on refractive index where the angles are involved. If the angles are not involved, using speeds we are finding refractive index, then you don't need these values to be in your mind. When we are solving the refractive index problems using formula n21 is equal to v1 divided by v2, there we don't need these values. But if we are solving using this formula, we must be having these values in our mind. And one more thing is, sin 0 is equal to 0, sin 30 is equal to 1 by 2, sin 45 is equal to 1 by root 2, like that sin 60, sin 90 you will write. Inverse trigonometry function means sin inverse of, from here to here we came, no? Inverse means from here to here and here. Sin inverse of 0 will be is equal to 0 degrees. Sin inverse of 1 by 2 will be is equal to 30 degrees. Sin inverse of 1 by 2 will be is equal to 30 degrees. Like that, sin inverse of 1 by root 2 will be 45 degrees. Sin inverse of root 3 by 2, 60 degrees. Sin inverse of 1, 90 degrees. This tabular column must be there in your mind. Then only you can solve any problem on refractive index that is being solved on using angles. Okay, na? Now let us solve some problems. See now, when light enters, 4 problems I have taken. When light enters from air to glass, angle of incidence and angle of refraction were 45 degrees and 30 degrees respectively. Find the refractive index of glass. See now, the light is passing from air to glass. Light is passing from air to glass. While passing, see, just by reading the question you should be able to remember. Air to glass. Glass is optically denser. So angle of refraction will be lesser value. Angle of incidence will be larger value. So angle of incidence and refraction were 45 and 30. Okay, na? See the values also reduced. Correct? So like this the light is going. This angle is 45 degrees and this angle is 30 degrees. What we have to find now? Remember the formula. What is that formula? That formula is, what is that formula? Say it now. N12 refractive index will be is equal to N12 will be is equal to sin I divided by sin R. Sir, I don't remember this formula, sir. No problem. Remember the original basic formula. What is this? Refractive index of air into sine of, what is here angle present here? 45 degrees will be is equal to refractive index of glass into how much angle present here? Into sine 30. No problem. This also you can use. Now what we have to find? We have to find refractive index of glass. Refractive index of glass means they are measuring refractive index of glass with respect to air. Every time there may not be the same air and glass or air and water medium. Any medium it may be. Glass and water, water and glass, diamond and water, diamond and glass, anything. They may give anything. If they give here instead of water, diamond, refractive index of diamond into sin 45 is equal to refractive index of glass into sin 30. Like that. So now they ask us to find refractive index of glass means refractive index of glass with respect to air we have to find. So we have to find Ng, this A I will take this side, divided by Na. Sin 45 is here only. This sin 30 I will take this side. Sin 30. What is sin 45 value? Sin 45 value is 1 by root 2 whole divided by refractive index of glass with respect to air is nothing but refractive index of glass. Okay na? Sin 30 is 1 by 2. So this if we send to numerator, it 2 gives to numerator. It becomes refractive index of glass is equal to 2 divided by root 2. 2 can be written as root 2 into root 2 divided by root 2. Root 2 cancels. So we got refractive index of glass is equal to root 2. Root 2 value is 1.4. Okay. So now this is how they will ask any question. Now second question let us take. A ray of light passes from air to water. From air to water. Let us take now. A ray of light is passing from air to water. This is air. I'll take air and this is water. Now while passing from air to water, okay, the angle of incidence, how much they have given? Angle of incidence is 30 degrees and refractive index of air to water means it is passing from rarer medium to denser medium. When light passes from rarer to denser, it will definitely bend towards the normal. So light will bend like this and it will pass like this. Correct? So this one will be the angle of refraction. Okay, now we have to find this angle of refraction now. Now let us find out. Okay, now Now, which is that formula? Refractive index of air into sin 30. Sin 30 is equal to refractive index of water into sine of angle of refraction. Okay. They give refractive index of air value. How much they have given? 1. 1 into, what is sin 30 value? Sin 30 value is 1 by 2 is equal to refractive index of water also they gave, it is 1.3 into sin r we have to find out. Sin r. Okay na? Now 1 into 1 by 2 it will be 1 by 2 is equal to 1.3 into sin r. 1.3 is in this side, it becomes 1 by 2 into 1.3 is equal to sin r. 1 by 2 into 1.3 it will be 1 by 2.6 is equal to sin r. So r will be is equal to, you send this sign to the opposite side, it becomes r is equal to sin inverse of 1 by 2.6. This is the angle of refraction. Okay. Let us take one more problem. See, in the first question what they gave angle of incidence, angle of refraction, they asked us to find refractive index. In the second question what they gave, n12 is equal to sin I divided by sin R. So angle of incidence they gave, refractive index they gave, and they asked us to find angle of refraction. Here they asked us to find the refractive index. Now let us see the third question, what they asked us to find and what they gave us. Okay, so now light enters from water to air. If angle of refraction is 60 degrees, find the angle of incidence using Snell's law. Okay, light is entering from water to air. Water to air. This one take it as water, this one take it as air. First to draw a normal. Water to air light is entering. Okay. If angle of refraction in air is 60 degrees. See, water to air, if light ray is passing, light ray will bend away from the normal. Correct? So this is the extended incident light ray. Light ray will bend away from the normal and it is going like this. Imagine it is going like this. And they gave the angle of refraction in air. Angle of refraction in air is 60 degrees. This angle is 60 degrees. This one will be the angle of incidence. This angle I we have to find. Okay na? We can take the refractive index of air as in the last question what they gave, that much only, that only we can take directly. So now apply apply the formula now. This one refractive index of water into sine of angle of incidence is equal to refractive index of air into sine of angle of refraction. What we have to find? We have to find sine of angle of incidence. What is the refractive index of water? It is 1.3 into sine I is equal to refractive index of air will be 1 into sine R. What is the angle of refraction? Sine 60. What is sine 60 value? Sine 60 value is root 3 by 2. 1.3 into sine I is equal to 1 into sine 60 is root 3 by 2. So sine I is equal to root 3 by 2. 1.3 comes this side, it becomes 1 divided by 1.3. So it is going to be sine I is equal to root 3 divided by 2.6. So I is equal to sine inverse of root 3 divided by 2.6. This one will be the answer. Now the last question for today's class. A ray travels from medium air to medium X. Angle of incidence is 60 degrees. Refractive index for medium is 1.5. What is the angle of refraction? See what they asked, no? They asked us to find the angle of refraction. Let us draw the diagram. They did not mention any angle now. This is air medium and this is X medium. Light is passing from air to X and refractive index of medium is 1.5. 1.5 means more than 1. So the light ray will bend towards the normal. This is the angle of incidence. Refracted light ray will bend towards the normal and it will be passing like this. Okay. Now we have to find the angle of refraction. Angle of incidence is they have given us 60 degrees, right? So now again same formula you can apply. Refractive index of air into sin I is equal to refractive index of X into sin R. Refractive index of air will be 1. Sin of angle of incidence. What is the angle of incidence here? 60 degrees. This is equal to, it is looking like 7. I equal to 60 degrees. This normal line is there. I is equal to 60 degrees means sin 60. Sin 60 is root 3 by 2 is equal to refractive index of X medium into sin of angle of refraction. Refractive index of X medium is 1.5. 1.5 can be written as 3 by 2. So root 3 by 2 is equal to 3 by 2 into sin R. 2 cancels. 3 comes this side, it becomes root 3 divided by 3 is equal to sin R. 3 can be written as root 3 into root 3. So this becomes sin R will be is equal to root 3 divided by root 3 into root 3. Root 3 cancels. So sin R will be is equal to 1 divided by root 3 and R is equal to sin inverse of 1 by root 3. This one will be the answer. Okay. I hope you understood what is the concept of refractive index using angles, and we have solved some problems on this. I hope you understood. If you have any doubts, ask me in the comments, and if you want any concept to be explained to you clearly, you can ask me in the doubt comment session. I will definitely reply to you. Thank you. Keep learning. Thank you so much.